Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 351, and today we're doing battle with Udyr Jarvan. And so, if you're a regular follower of the channel, this deck should be nothing new to you. We played it in the various dastardly gauntlets, whatever those were called, the Ruthless Rumbles. We carried it on into the Mastering Runeterra Open, and then we played it again in the Riot Open event last weekend. And it's a deck that I'm quite happy with. We have quite a bit of success with it, and we are now in this space to where I'm not entirely certain if the season ends with the upcoming balance patch. Riot said something to where there were kind of two halves to a season within a set's release. So Glory for Navori comes out. That's like a 3-month space. That's supposed to be broken up into 2 seasons. Some people thought that it was supposed to end with this balance patch coming out on Tuesday or Wednesday, but the endgame client seems to indicate that it won't end for another month and a half or so. And so it's not ultra clear how that's actually going to play out. If we can push up inside the top 100, though, as the season's going to end, then we can hopefully snag some of those Runeterra points. And so again, we've had a bit of success with it. Over the past week, we're up to the 75% win rate across 30 matches. Pretty decent there. All that work is up in the mid-masters, and so it's not like we've just been climbing with this thing through Platinum and Diamond. We have a bit of success with it. And then the idea with the deck is that we were looking to be good against Samira Fizz and looking to be good against Leona. And so what that really drives yourself towards is having a strong early game interactive package. That's why you see the Fleet Feather Trackers and the Petricite Broadwings and then the full sets of Fish Fight and Single Combat that lets you kind of come in and really put pressure onto Samira's while still having a pretty reasonable removal suite and trying to take down the higher valued targets of the format. But then it kind of emerges into being a more mid-rangey deck with the blocking Badger Bears and the Combat Cooks, and then sort of just kind of topping off with Udyr in the sense that he is the glue that ties a lot of this deck together. So you're able to really get double advantages out of the strikes, get double advantages out of the combats that you're getting in. And then you can get a lot of advantages out of those stance swaps, say like putting the 0-2 health regenerate onto a Petricite Broadwing, putting a Overwhelm stance onto a unit that you're about to Cataclysm from Jarvan, or even just doing the 1 damage AoE to clear out the opposing board. A lot of great synergies within the deck that tie into Udyr that then ties into the various fight style cards. And so what I will say with this deck is, again, we tuned it to be decent against Fizz, Samira, and decent against the Leona decks of the world. We were trying to just be controlly enough against Fizz, Samira to beat it, and then slightly slower than the Leona decks that we could overcome them with our bigger cards. But the cost we paid to have our deck in that style is we aren't particularly good against the slower decks of the format. And so as we were in the Runeterra Open, we were looking to just ban things like Karma Set or ban things like Nora Vagar. And if we encounter them on the ladder, we aren't really tuned to be good there. It's not to say we can't win those matchups, but we definitely made some deck building decisions in here that kind of dictates that we aren't going to be these ultra fast decks that can really prey on those kind of things. And so that's the deck. That's what we're going to be doing battle with today. I forget where we were starting at. I think we're at like rank 130 or so, 135. Not a bad place, and so hopefully we can pull off some wins here and jump up in that top 100. So let's head on in. Where we at? Tuna on white, no crust. See if we can't jump in. It's all about the family, you know. It's all about the family. I'm so ready to go see Fast and the Furious. I don't even know if it's out yet. I'm such a bad Vin Diesel fan these days that it's tough to tell whether or not the movie's even out. But you got the dad, you got the son, you got the family. Definitely ready to snack on a tuna on white, no crust. It's one of the most ridiculous lines in a movie. I'm not entirely certain why they included that. It's I think it's in the first one where oh my gosh, I almost called him Sean William Scott. That's not even his name. It's he's unfortunately died. He wrecked his Lambo or something. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember it. I'm falling apart today. I'm falling apart. But Paul Walker, there we go. It came to me. It's when he first meets Vin Diesel's sister, and she's trying to serve him up a sandwich. He says he wants the tuna on white, no crust. But what are we going to do here? It's like we don't have this particularly compelling hand. We don't have a lot going in the upcoming turns. We do like to have these stances in hand and then just play them for free with Udyr. But, you know, we don't really have anything going on in these upcoming turns. And so just kind of like throwing our unit away doesn't feel that good. I think we're just going to take the damage, try and stance swap through some of this in the upcoming turns. We don't have to do it right now. We can just 3-bank through this turn, which I think I'm okay with. He's playing Misfortune Swain. He's not going to be some kind of aggro monster coming at us, but are we willing to stop? And I think we just have to kind of play the cards now. This does leave us in the spot to where we can AoE stance. It's going to kill his 2 units, leave Misfortune with 2 health, and then we can still just attack. He's not going to block our Vulpine Wanderer with Misfortune. Maybe he does, because her attack is bad next turn, but I don't suspect he's going to. Didn't pick up a play. A bit of a bummer. But let's see if he actually brings in the attack. Stylish shot. And the Jagged Butcher. This isn't particularly juicy for us, but I mean we can just put the Vulpine Wanderer in front of the Jagged Butcher, single combat down the Misfortune, and only take 3 damage on the turn. The thing that makes me want to think about it a little bit more, though, is we do have Udyr in hand, and so if we want to say Inner Beast this turn so we can get the free stance swap next turn, that's definitely on the table, but I kind of feel like we just need to be out here protecting our health total, and so I'm going to block the big boy, going to try and single combat this Misfortune, then we only take 3 on the turn. It looks like we're going to be getting that, oh, there's no reason to do this, right? Why is he making it rain? Interesting.
Make it interesting for me.
All right, so we've fallen to 10. A little scary on the health, but he's only got 0 cards in hand now. Well, I guess he has the Stylish Shot. That's definitely more than 1 card, but give us a chance to pick things up here. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and attack. I'm reasonably interested in just doing the 1 mana stance swap, clearing out the Shell Shocker and the Tentacle. That's going to leave him in a spot to where he does have 2 attackers on the upcoming turn, but we might be able to stop this Stylish Shot from hitting if we're going to play Unforgiven Cold or a 3 Sisters or something. Also, he does get to generate the Tentacle off the Watchful Idol, but it gets rid of the idol, so that unit will be gone after this. Another 3 Sisters. So the thing to watch out for here is we haven't actually equipped any units in this game, and so definitely a potential pain point there. If we want to play the Unforgiven Cold, you got to watch yourself with that one. But I think this is fine to just go in with the Flash Freeze. We can follow up after this if we need to, but I don't want him getting that Stylish Shot back. What up, kitty cat? You want to hang out? Got a cat over here wanting to hang out. Let's see. So this will take us down to 5. How do we feel about that? I mean, we can technically entomb the Jagged Butcher. No, we don't have the mana for that. I was going to say we could attempt to remove the Jagged Butcher, but it's not the case. Not the case. All right, let's just continue with the passes. You know, Darkened Spear is going to become a Naka real soon. I don't think we need to. Don't think we need to slap it down. Big old Swain coming through. Come on, kitty. If you want to hang out, jump on up. I don't know if opponent has to deal with this stuff. We're certainly trying to make our way through. Let's see. This is interesting. It's like we have to ask ourselves if we really care about losing Udyr here, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. We have plenty of stuns for the upcoming turn. I don't think he's going to be like really excited about any of these blocks. Okay. So now we can take the flip if we want. You do have to worry like a little bit here about something like Ravenous Flock because he does have the Swain on the board. But I think we're safe to just come in and pass. We have all the tools we need to shut down the Swain for the moment. The thing that starts to worry me about this Swain is going to be him generating stuns. And so if he's able to, say, make it rain and then stun us, that's a bit of a problem. But let's just add in a unit at this point. I think that's the only place we'll really struggle here, is if he's able to deal damage to the face, get a stun in on something, and then come in for the big damages. So this is fine. It's going to stun Big Jarvan. I'm going to go ahead and, well, this is interesting in the sense that if we want to hit both of his units with the Unforgiven Cold, we need to play an equipment. But what's going to happen here is we're going to try and block Swain, and then Misfortune's going to knock that block out of combat. So our only real blocker for the turn is going to be this Petricite Broadwing. And what's his name? Udyr's not going to get a block in. Now we could. I think this is fine. So we'll let that happen. We're going to put the Darkened Spear onto the bird. He's going to attack with both units. We're going to play the Unforgiven Cold. Oh, he doesn't attack with both units. Even better. So we'll just take the Entomb, get Swain off the board. Don't have to worry about random bullshit this way, like just a Make It Rain, stunning a unit off of the board. The only place we have to really worry now is if he top decks an Oxen Fervor, right? That would give him an out, but I'm not gonna play around that.
I know what I'm doing.
We got him. GG. Market a W for bust.
Raise our banners. Demacia prevails.
And so it's interesting with this deck. I think it brings up kind of an interesting concept in terms of decks to use to grind with and where you're really feeling comfortable on the ladder. Like I concede that this deck isn't the best one in the format, but I've just played so much of it over the course of the past month that I just feel really comfortable with it. And it's one of these spots to where, you know, it's really easy to go and look at the meta tier list and pick up the top deck and try and just ram it through the ladder. But I definitely feel like my win rate with this deck would just be so much higher than playing Samira Fizz. Like I've played, I don't know, 10 games of Samira Fizz, and that was it. It wasn't really a deck that I stylistically enjoyed. And so I just didn't play a ton of it. And, you know, even though that might be the better deck on the whole, for me, it's most certainly not the case. All right, up against Quinn Gwen. This can be a pretty tough matchup. It's most certainly in their favor a little bit. We can pull off some nonsense against them, like using the ram stance to come in and clear out their little birds and their little their little foyer tokens. But if they drop a foyer, we tend to be in a lot of trouble. So we'll see how this plays out. I don't usually like killing these boisterous hosts early. It's nice to just take these first couple points of damage. The thing that worries me is the Hallowed, not the unit itself. And so you usually take 2, 4, 6 damage from these things just to keep opponent from getting Hallowed. That's tough. We can play the Wanderer here. See if he has the foyer next turn. I'm not going to come in and trade. I would like to. We get the units off the board with the stance swap. It feels okay. So where are we at? He shouldn't be adding any real units to the board here. I think we can add in the Badger Bear. Like next, the place where this starts to be problematic is next turn we're going to spend 4 mana on a Broadwing and a Wanderer, and we fall a little bit short. The place where we kind of run into a touch of problem here is we had that opportunity to get the Broadwing down on turn 2, and then on this upcoming turn 4, we could put the 2 health regenerate stance onto the Broadwing, and then that lets you start to challenge down opposing Gwens. But we didn't take that angle. We went for the bigger unit route, and now that leaves us a little bit lacking here if we wanted to actually go for the challenge. But Gwen shouldn't be too strong on this turn. She's a little scarier on the next turn. All right, he just passed. I'm not gonna jump in front of that. I'll let him overbank for 1 million, and then we can try and push things forward next turn. So now we can switch our stance if we want. He's only at Hallowed 1, so it's not super scary, but I would still like to clear this stuff out. Now it puts us in a spot to where if he attacks with Quinn, we can kill her with a Badger Bear. And if he doesn't attack with Quinn, we can kill her with Jarvan next turn. Quinn Bird from Quinn, you got it. We could technically clear it out with another Vulpine Wanderer, but that's not really doing it for me. Let's just pass. He's gonna take a hook off the Valor, and then if we just 3-bank into next turn, it's not terrible. Oh, he's just bringing it, huh? I did not expect this Quinn to come into combat. Interesting. Okay. It has been done. And do we want to drop the Wanderer? It's not that great of a unit here. Let's just go ahead. Well, we might actually want the stance on the upcoming turn. Like, we're 100% going to open attack and hook Quinn with Jarvan, but we might actually want this stance. If he, like, plays a Foyer and then plays a Quinn Bird or something, we want to be able to clear all that stuff out. So let's make sure that we have the mana for this.
Stay on the target. We will slow them.
All right, boom.
That's far enough.
Ah, you did it. You did it, Jarvan. You boomed him real hard. So reasonable interactivity from here, as long as he's not making scout attacks, and I feel pretty safe with this hand, given that we can Three Sisters down a lot of his problematic units. So if he only gets that one big attack with the Hallowed bonus, we can Three Sisters the unit away. It's when he starts getting multiples that the Three Sisters isn't nearly as good. Okay, I'll bring in the fish fight here. I like hanging on to single combat so we can do stuff in the middle of combat. Like, Jarvan falling's not the end of the world here. I think he's reasonably safe. As opponents really tap down low and we roll into next turn, we can just hook a unit out of combat if we need to. He shouldn't have any units next turn, but if he does, we're pretty safe in that sense. Let's see. Definitely want to try and get Lethal on board. And then we're going to play Tiana next turn. She's like 100% going to be a part of this action. So if we want to take the 3-bank into next turn, we currently have 5 mana that we can spend. All right. Let's lead off with the Petricite Charger. Just in case there's some kind of weird shenanigan here with a Quinn Bird. I don't think we want to get too involved in this combat. Like, if he comes in and Cataclysms Jarvan, that's whatever. But if he plays a Quinn Bird and starts attacking and taking stuff down that way, and getting the extra tokens out of the Foyer, it's just it's a real pain in the butt. Okay. You fought hard, Jarvan. You fought hard.
Patient, cautious, and quiet. This is our way.
So this is kind of an interesting spot. It's like I'm pretty confident that you could just come in and play the Three Sisters for the +3/+4 and win the game here. It just doesn't really feel worth the risk, right? If opponent has something weird like a Vengeance, we're not going to be really happy with that. And we can just have this, backup plan of Tiana and feel pretty safe after the fact. That was enough. GG him. Drop him good.
All is as it should be.
Y'all want to hear something interesting? So, in my belief system, I feel like I pay for enough streaming services. And so I pay for HBO, I pay for Amazon Prime, the wife pays for the Netflix streaming subscription. I feel like that's enough. And so the space that I've kind of lived in after that is I've got a Netflix DVD subscription that I'll order the DVDs, they come in, I put it on my Plex server, and then of course delete it after I'm finished watching it because that would not be legal to leave that remaining on the server to watch in a future day. And so of course we put it on the server and then delete it. But the thing that just happened, it blew my mind. I never expected it to happen, although we should have, I guess, is that Netflix DVD is discontinuing. That's not going to be a thing anymore. Now, I'm sure a lot of you youngsters out there are like, what the fuck is a DVD? As you most certainly don't know what a VHS tape is, you probably find yourself wondering what a DVD is. It's a video disc that you can put inside of your Xbox and watch the movie with. And so it's actually kind of impressive and surprising to me that the service is going away. But I guess as like time moves on, people aren't printing Blu-rays anymore, and so it makes a little bit of sense that it's going to go away. But I didn't see it. I just kind of assumed that they were doing well enough to be around forever, and it's not going to be the case. It's going to be a sad day. So with this game, we can jump back into the action, and I'll talk about Netflix DVDs. I didn't want to make the trade on the first turn. They have too many high value units they can play on the second turn. Things like the Redeemed Prodigy we would like to take down. Things like the Quinn Bird, and he does have his bird on the board, so we aren't necessarily going to get that combat that we want, but the opponent has to kind of stop and think about how they're going to proceed from that angle as opposed to just having their way with our board. And so I don't want to come in and just take that trade and then let them have the unit on board for free. Feel a little bit better taking that action away from them. Now, this kind of sucks. This is going to be a painful round. Pot of Pain is good. We need the health here. He doesn't... Holy shit, he has Hallowed too. Thought he was only a Hallowed 1. I was going to say, he doesn't have a ton of Hallowed, but that is a falsehood. He most certainly does have a ton of Hallowed. He's definitely having his way with us this game. Assume he'll attack with the Ghastly Band to the left. So we gotta come in and clear out the remaining units. We're gonna get boomed on the turn, but hopefully we can recover after this. He's not going to have any real units on the board, and so we might be able to start taking advantage of this with the various Frostbite cards. So I'm going to hang on to the Pot of Pain. We got two Formidables in hand, and so on this upcoming turn, I'm going to drop the Broadwing. We're going to drop the Charger, give the Broadwing the Challenger, and then maybe if he plays a kind of a preemptive Gwen, we'll be able to Pot of Pain it down. And if he keeps doing stuff like this, then we can just look to attack around his board. So do we want to drop the Pot of Pain? I think it's still good here, right? We could look to put it on the Charger instead of the Broadwing, because we do have Fish Fight in hand. I think this is okay. Like my major concern with this is I want to be able to answer an Eternal Dancers, and I want to be able to answer a Gwen. And so if we have these high stat Chargers on board, that gives us a shot to do it with the Fish Fight, to where if we load up the Broadwing, that's going to give him an opportunity to... it would have 4 health at this point you could use to kill a Gwen, but if something goes wrong, like a Hate Spike, then we start to fail. Get all them stats on the board. So many stats. But again, long as he's not coming at us with challengers, or long as he's not coming at us with scouts, we should be fine. I'm not gonna let that happen. See if he's got any good follow-up here. We can still get the singular flash freeze out of our three sisters, so we don't have to take the the full million that comes out of his hallowed for the round. But definitely a little scary here. Okay. The boisterous host. Okay. Wonder if he's adding this just to get the space on board. I mean, I guess it's going to be a pretty big unit with the hallowed bonuses, but... Huh. Oh shit, almost clicked on Entomb. I totally clicked on the wrong one in a game earlier playing on my phone, and so... there's the real possibility for disaster coming out of these. I think we'll just leave the 1 health Broadwing behind. It's not... There's not a ton of combats that it's going to win, but it can win the combats against the units we care about. Right, if he's got a random Fearsome or a Quinbird or something on board, the Broadwing can still win that combat. See if we draw something cool. Jarvan would be cool. Just take a big open kill on this board. I'd be alright with that. Really want to have to go into next turn and count on Tiana, but looks like the way it's going to be. Probably can't even play Tiana next turn. We're going to have to keep mana back for these Unforgiven Colds.
This is a chance for me to leave my mark.
All right, but try and get the takedown on the Gwen. We'll see if he's got Mist's Call. That would be the annoying one at this point, if he's able to just bring her right back. Doesn't seem to be. Cool. He's got too much hallowed to really get in front of this stuff. I think we're just gonna have to have the 10 mana back for the Unforgiven Colds. Right, this should bring back Gwen, right? Alright, so there's the big point of problem taken care of. Now let's just get in front of the Eternal Dancers. Hopefully that's enough for the turn, right? We can play a second Unforgiven Cold, but this should get us out of the spot to where we have to worry about things like Cataclysm. I mean, I guess he can Cataclysm the Gwen into the Petricite Charger or something, but... I think for the most part here we're safe. Okay. Oh, no, we just die to the snip, don't we? F. We were so close to taking that one down, man. So close. 1 damage short. Maybe he won't attack with Gwen. maybe he won't do it. Dang. Look at that. We were so close. Alright, GG. Man, I thought we were going to turn that one around. It's so tough to beat the Foyers. It's one of those cards I fully expect to get nerfed. I think they just have to nerf it up to 4 mana. It's you can't nerf the hallowed unit because it affects every card that generates the hallowed unit. So the problem card is the Foyer, and you have to kind of look at that as the one to bring a little nerfage onto. I don't think it's going to survive in its current state. It seems the safe way to go about it is to take it up to 4 mana. But I could also see them limiting it to 1 token per turn. So it still says whenever you gain the attack token, you get the unit, but you can only activate the ability once per turn. Get you out of that nonsense to where you attack with a scout unit and get a token, so you have 2 for the turn, and then you rally and get a 3rd for the turn, getting the million hallowed along the way. Alright, though. Up against Karma Set P and Z. I don't like hanging on to things like Darkened Spear here. Just too much trouble getting our units into combat. I'm going to hang on to the Badger Bear and just look for some cheaper bros. Really like to find a 2-drop here. But again, this isn't a very premier matchup for us. We can beat it. It's most certainly a winnable match. If they, we either just do have one of those good curve draws they can't really get in front of, or if they draw their deck kind of in the wrong order, we can definitely pull off some wins. All right, no rush 15. I got a unit for turn 3. It's ready. There's the bird. A day late and a dollar short, but we can still get the Badger Bear online. Push through here. I'm ready to attack. Thank you.
This should be fun. Thank you.
Get that Mystic Shot coming in. Oh, interesting. We might find ourselves actually wanting to protect the Badger Bear with a +3/+4. It kind of sucks to trade for a Mystic Shot that way, but you know, I could see it. Just a lot of the kind of like design decisions with this deck. We talked about the kind of perks of having the challenger units against Fizz, but in these matchups having 4 health is a pretty big deal. I think I'm just going to let it slide. I don't want to spend all of our mana coming into our Udyr turn when we can still protect Udyr with Inner Beast. See if he comes in and drops a set or something. The Hex Obliterator. Alright. You been boomed, Udyr. Gonna have the Mystic Shot here as well for the Havamals. I feel like if we punch in the 7, we still got a real shot in this game, but things go downhill fast if we're not able to get in more than 3 damage here. Just a big difference having the opponent at 13 as opposed to having them at 17.
Stand with me, brothers and sisters.
All right, you got to come on board, my dude. We don't have the plays here, man. It makes me still want to kind of cycle back to that Badger Bear play. I think we're fine just playing it on curve as we did, but it's been a bit of a problematic turn for us. So I want to use the fish fight here. We do have this Cataclysm in hand, and we might find ourselves in this space to where we can drop Inaka on the opponent's turn 8 and Cataclysm it, and get that extra unit, and then get another Inaka attack in on the next turn. They don't usually do a lot of work, in terms of being defensive on the opposing turn. So we got something we might be able to pull off there. A lot of this now is going to come down to whether or not we can keep Jarvan on the board. And I think we can try and bait this a little bit with the Petricite Charger. And so what we would ideally see happen here is our Jarvan just gets concussive palmed. And right now is when you want a concussive palm, right? Because you're going to have the blocker unit on board. But I worry a little bit more that if we just open, that he's going to just use his bounce spells and send Jarvan back to hand, and we're not going to get that opportunity. And so it's just, as these games kind of sequence, right, you know, it makes a lot more sense to just concussive palm, leave the Jarvan on board, and then we can try and have our Cataclysm next turn. You're alive at 1, my dude. Is it gonna be enough? So far, so good. Mystic Shot number 2. High note. Alright. Boo. So with that in mind, if we're just going to switch to playing Tiana next turn, do we want to put a stance onto the Broadwing? It gets it in a good spot to where it's bigger than Set. How close is he to flipping? Can't tell. So he should already be flipped at this point, right? Has he played 40 mana this turn? I think this is reasonable, though. We're not going to play any of these other cards in our hand for quite a while. Like, if we play Tiana this turn, we're not going to have any mana. Then if we open with Jarvan the next turn, we're not going to play any cards in between. Like, this isn't a deck to where Three Sisters really shines.
Remember, we're the ones who make progress happen.
All right, ready to party. he does unfortunately have a blocker, but we're presenting lethal if he doesn't do something else here. People start going, what the fuck, is that a Tiana? There's a concussive palm. Aight. Say, Tiana is not on my radar today.
We're working here.
See where their good is. There's a reasonable thought to hook in the Forge Chief on the Broadwing, so if he's got a high node unit, right, the Broadwing would get the chance to survive, but the big thing here is just clearing out the board. This is going to get us a flipped Jarvan. Oh no, we're one short now, aren't we? This is still okay. So here comes the family.
Fall before Demacia.
Did you say it? Are those words that you just used? No? Alright. Maybe you should have. Alright, knock him down to 3. Reasonable enough spot. I'd ideally get to take the 3 bank into next turn and then look to play the Darkened Spear and then the Cataclysm off of Jarvan, but doesn't look like we're going to get the Jarvans here. Okay, he doesn't add Karma. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Gives us 2 angles of attacks on his units with both the single combat and the Three Sisters. See if it's fast enough. So he looks to Hexbliterate our Tiana. So we have some options here, right? She's gonna die to this, but like, how much do we actually care about killing this Karma at this point? He's got 1 coin in hand. Coin will take him up to 2. I don't think I really want to get super involved with this. I'm looking to just add the Darkened Spear. We just need to get a couple points of damage in. But the other kind of interesting thing is, like, what can we pull off with a Jaral, right? We just need 1 unit to squeak its way through, and then we can look to Three Sisters up the damage. I think that's probably a little sketchy. The other thing, this is only 12 damage, right? We can Fury of the North. Oh, she still dies? Oh, okay, she dies to the Karma. I was like, no, where's our Tiana going? What has happened? What has happened? Okay, that's fine. Okay. Now we can get the big boys on board. Don't think I want to open here. This is just like such a disaster. If we open and he blocks the Jarvan and then has a spell to stop Jaral, we would take him to 2, or take him to 1 off the Petricite Charger while we have a stance swap in hand, but that's like a little sketchy. I feel like this is definitely one of those turns to where if we don't win the game on this turn, we most certainly run into problems in terms of actually winning the game. And glad to just kind of push through that. Say here's all the answers. Here's all the questions. You know, give me your best answers instead of here's a couple questions. You say here's all the questions. All right, up against Samira Leona. No units in hand. No, thank you. All right, come down on turn 4. I'm ready. Turn 4. I wonder if ABG Jibs is upset about the closure of Netflix. Come in and check. You know what he needs to do is he needs to go and sign up for a Netflix subscription and then rent Fast and the Furious. it all ties back together. It all comes back together. Alright, unit. Uh-oh. This is bad. Now, this deck has done surprisingly well being in these spots to where you just bank on the first 3 turns of the game. It's by no means ideal, but the game isn't over yet. We can still get over top of their units, be bigger than what they're doing, and not be completely domed. Gotta add a unit now, though. I wonder if this means he's gonna come in with the sunburst, the big damage thing. That's a problem. I went the other way with the health on the combat cook, assuming that we were still going to be able to hit the Sun Guardian. I wanted to have a good blocker for the turn, but now he's too small, and this is a problem. This is a problem. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, at least on this board, it's just 1 damage that we were losing out on, but ew, yeah, this is bad. This is bad. We don't even, as it stands, we don't even have a unit to play next turn. What are you serving up for us, Dak? Another combat cook? Gotta go with the fish whack on this one. I think he's just gonna be a little bit too slow, though. This is where you come in with a Leona. Ravoon, same thing. Alright, well, he's below 2 mana, so we don't have to worry about Pale Cascades here. We can kind of freely take down this Ravoon. We have some decent blocks for this next turn, and we can look to pop the Sun Guardian with a Flash Freeze. It's not a great turn by any means, but if he opens, we can get by with 0 damage on the round. If we Flash Freeze the big boy, block the Twilight Protector with, block the Crimson Pigeon. We can do this here. We'll just put the blocks forward and show you. Do this. We're gonna Flash Freeze Dum Dum down here at the end, and then we're gonna single combat our 4/3 onto a 2. And so this should kill his whole board except the Sun Guardian. Leave us in a decent spot. If he's got cards to play, that's whatever. We gotta just hope he doesn't have cards at this point. Sure. Mikhail's blessing for the W's. GG. That's tough. You will run into these games on occasion to where you just don't have those early plays, and that's not the matchup to have it happen. But GG, well played. Got ourselves into a decent-ish spot, assuming he's in that spot where he just has a handful of units. This wasn't quite enough to pull through. All right, now to battle with Samira Leona. I'm definitely keeping the Broadwing, and this is a spot to where I'll keep one of these cards. And I think I want to hang on to the Darkened Spear. Just gives us the chance to make this Broadwing a little bit more intimidating in the face of a misfortune. So we'll see if she turns up. Otherwise, we're okay, and then we have this spot to where you'll have a 2-mana, 2-mana, 2-mana turn. So on turn 3, we can drop the Darkened Spear and the single combat to spend all of our mana. Let's just pass. This doesn't feel like a very valid turn, and it's like if we attack and he blocks with the pigeon and then he drops a Samira, we're going to be in a bad spot. All right, all the plunders coming through. Dang, son. I'm going to go ahead and drop the single combat. It's going to take our Broadwing to 3 health, and then she can still block one of these 3 attack units and not die. And so if we'd waited until combat for that to happen, then the Broadwing is going to have to strike at the 3 power unit, and she's not going to have enough health to get through the turn. Hi, bird. Let's see what you can do. Doing something. Gotta take, or at least attempt to take one of these elegant edges off of the board. Can't block it. If he's got a +2/+2 thing, it kind of sucks, but it's not the end of the world. All right, we got him down to 1 card in hand. The turns have tabled a little bit. Still a dangerous spot for us, but oh man, how sick would a burn spell have been here? A way just to I mean, a flash freeze just to barely stop one of these points of damage. Phew. All right, well, let's drop in Udyr. We can, next turn, look to play Fleet Feather Tracker plus Jarvan. We've definitely got the edge on board in terms of cards here. It's just a matter of if he can pick up the burn. He just needs a Nox and Fervor at this point, which is, you know, fairly scary proposition for us. And I'm fine with this. If he wants to take the trade onto our Badger Bear, his whole board's going to be dead at this point. And so now if he draws Nox and Fervor next turn, he's not going to have an easy target for it, right? He does get to pick up the extra card off of Pull Shark, but that's a fairly dangerous block that he just made, in the sense that if he is on this Nox and Fervor plan, he's not going to have any units on the board. Aya Nagakaboros is good. And a Powder Pandemonium. How many is this for? For 4? We're 1 short. We have the tools to stop this, but if we play our stance swap, the 1 damage to everything is gonna it's gonna go face. Man. That sucks so much. So close. He gave us the chance to have the edge, and it just wasn't enough. That's a bit of a bummer. Well, I guess we were going to be dead to the Powder Pandemonium anyways, right? He had those 2 stylish shots in hand, but sucks to go down like that. Get him right on the edge. You have that lethal primed and ready. So many draws in their deck are just so bad. And then they hit the Eye of Nagakaboros into the Powder Pandemonium. It is what it is. It's unfortunate to see it fall like that, but if opponent goes, you know, Jagged Butcher into Misfortune, then we just easily close out that game. All right, game number 7 coming at you. A little bit of Quinn Gwen with a Vayne in the mix. Sure thing. Hang on to our cheap bros here. See what we can do. Such Udyr, many Udyr. I'm planning on for the next video. Like, I don't think the Udyr Galio deck is particularly good, right? I think Mage and Bay was the one that put together the video on Udyr Galio, and that was just kind of a response to Karma Set, in that you could play ramp decks and do abusive things to Karma Set because they're just trying to grind until turn 10, but they don't have any ramp. And now that like Karma Set's really fallen out of favor in the meta, that deck's not particularly exciting, but get the chance to play with Udyr, you got to take it. So much fun playing with this bro. So we'll see about that next video. Getting to that point of the year to where the format's going to change, and so it loses a little bit of its luster, and so you got to come in with just some of the fun decks. All right, Foyer coming in. Sad day for us. There's not too many other ways you can put it, but is what it is. So how big is this Gwen gonna get? She's gonna go up to a 5 attack. So we can look to just Darken Aegis, our Badger Bear. It's gonna be a 5 health tough. That should stop Gwen from attacking. There's no like 1 mana trick to cause problems with Gwen here. And then we'll just take the damage from the band. We want to get another unit on board. Kind of like banking the mana. This is like a spot to where this turn we're just definitely playing Udyr. But on the opponent's next turn, we might need to try to, say, Combat Cook into Unforgiven Cold, and then having that extra bit of mana banked up can be pretty useful. A different story here. We have some pretty good strikes on the board. Let's see if he tries to get in front of any of it. And if he wants to come at Udyr, well, this may not work out nicely. It's like if he Cataclysms Gwen into Udyr, then he's going to fall. But he's not going to play something like a Hate Spike. Sure. Do we get him? Do we get to get him with the Spirits Unleashed? Oh, man. Oh, man. The potential is here. I think we just have to give up on our Udyr at this point, but we could look to Unforgiven Cold. Oh, is this actually the way to do it? So we Unforgiven Cold. It's only going to hit one unit because we haven't played an equipment. Oh, have we played an equipment? Oh, yeah, we've got the equipment on the Badger Bear. I just had in my head we didn't. So we can Unforgiven Cold. It's going to hit the Bird and Gwen. Then since we're getting a strike, we can look to AoE the board. Gwen's going to start being huge at this point, though. But she's only going to be at Hallowed 4. And then she's going to shrink down to 0 attack. And so without something else, she's not going to be able to do anything. Okay. Okay. Not quite where I wanted to do it, but I think this is going to be okay. I mean, do we even bother with the stance at this point? I don't think so. I think our blocks are too good. Let's just pick up another stance in our hand.
Have you come to aid your old friend, young fox?
And then we can just throw it in front of something. A little sloppy. We should have thought of that in advance, but I think this is okay. Oh, and sweet. And he just doesn't attack with Gwen. I am on board.
This is our path.
So we should get an extra stance out of this. Or a cheap stance, I should say. Alright, well, we'll keep at it. There's a bit of danger in going overboard onto this Udyr, right? I think if he had a Cataclysm, he would have played Cataclysm last turn, and so I don't super worry about Cataclysm coming in this turn. But, let's see what he does. Interesting. And now the Gwen comes in because she has big ol' attacks. Why do we only take 2? That's not right, is it? We take 2 from the snip. It's just not pulling in the combat because the snip's on here, right? We're gonna fall to 3. There it goes. It picked its way up at the end. But here's where the big boom comes in, right? This is gonna flip the Udyr. I don't think he's gonna be at 18, but he's gonna be pretty close. $13. A little short. But we might still have a positive turn next round. We have the Jarvan into Gwen if we want to take that. You know, I think that's where we're stuck. It's unfortunate that he's not going to flip because we're in this. Well, that's what we're going to have to build towards, right? So we're going to attack. Jarvan's going to hook in Gwen. We're going to do a reasonable amount of damage. Oh no, we're not going to have the flips. I was like envisioning that we were going. Oh no. Okay, we can. No, we can't. I keep trying to envision how we're going to get this this Cataclysm off. If we can Cataclysm Udyr into something, then we'll win the game. But we don't have access to the Cataclysm just yet. Now it's this dumb spot again, to where we can Spirits Unleashed and fall to 2, but the Eternal Dancers is going to bring back Gwen. I don't have any interactivity. Dang. Dang. Right, so Gwen comes back, and then we die to the snip because we don't have anything. Oh, that's brutal, man. That's brutal. Well, we missed some we may have missed some damage along the way, but that's such a tough matchup, and to have them come down so close like that, it's painful. But GG, on to the next one. Get ourselves into this final battle. See if we can't get ourselves back up to 50-50. So close, man. I feel like our wins were pretty good and not close, and then our losses were like right on the edge. I feel like if we focused in and picked up on those teetering matches just a little bit, that would get us up to 5-2 at the moment. That's that space that kind of separates me. Like I'm able to kind of hang in this mid masters tier, but that's what is able to push those players up into that front page of the rankings, is picking up these games that are really close like that. We had a game where we like literally died at exactly even a couple of times, and so something to strive for. We're getting better though, man, compared to battles with Bust number 1 350 videos ago. You've really picked up a lot. Feels good. Alright, so I'm not going to get invested right away with this Fleet Feather Tracker. With hands like this, I really want to kind of push for this usage of the Darkened Spear. It's another space to where just like growing our units can be fairly good. And so I don't want to get... Jeez, the Marauder. I don't want to get super invested in any one unit because they just tend to play all of these Disintegrate kind of cards, but Jesus. Look, this is not what I was expecting to come out of opponent. If I knew opponent was going to be playing these Mirai Wardens, then I would have just played Vulpine Wanderer last turn. It's not the end of the world here, but this would have just been a fantastic board to drop an AoE onto. It's not horrible. And this isn't an aggro deck coming at us, but it's kind of a bummer when we could have had really good answers to what was coming at us. So I think we can add in the bird now. Again, it's like taking the damage isn't that big of a deal. This isn't an aggro deck coming at us, the anti-conservatory deck, but it's kind of we feel like we could have gotten a lot better card advantage out of this. How's he doing? It's stunning the little bird and damage on the big bird. Let's go ahead and Inner Beast the big bird. I'm not entirely opposed to trying to put the stance swap onto it. For the regenerate stance, it's not a big deal here, but something to think about, especially the thing to watch out for is their removal spells are going to be things like Disintegrate. This is beautiful, actually. I'm glad to see a Disintegrate hit a Petricite Charger, but the other one being something like Scorched Earth, and we can actually clear out the damage on some of these units with the stances. Right, this is a spot to where a stance looks decent. If we're just going to open next turn with Jarvan. Let's just go with the spear. I think I want Jarvan hitting for the damage next turn. It's raining. It's raining everywhere, my dude. Sure thing. Alright, well, we got him down to 2 cards. He's pretty close to getting Tybalak, but he's got some distance to go there. And then, is the +1/+1 more or less important than the... It's probably less. Let's just take the prevent the damage. Tybalak's coming online soon, and I want to make sure we're a little safe. Alright, well, you don't get the surprise attack, my friend Jarvan, but we can still send you in with the barriers. Nice little refill, sure thing. All right, not terrible.
Fortune favors the bold.
What you got, Combat Cook? Probably just want to go with the Pan of Pain. It is interesting having access to the Sandsworn Amulet because all of his units are such bad blockers, but I think I like the Pan and the Tough. I want to have our units survive these combats, and with the Tough, it gets us a little bit closer.
This way. That way. Very neat.
Plenty to go round.
Sure.
Stay nice tight.
Alright, well, let's spend all of our mana here. I'm going to get the Broadwing down. I'm looking to put the Pan of Pain onto Jarvan. Is that how we want to do it? Tybalak is a 6/6. Our most important unit's going to be this Darkened Spear that we have next turn. It's probably a little bit more important. The thing that I worry about a little bit is opponent having access to being able to like disintegrate this down before it attacks. But I guess if that's the angle we're trying to take, that it's still not quite enough in the sense that he would be able to just
Guide me.
he would be able to
I know what I'm doing.
like disintegrate before we can put the Tough onto it. So how do we feel about dropping a single combat here? We can put the single combat onto the Tybalak, and Daddy Jarvan shouldn't be dying here. But it's like how high value of a target is it? It's probably pretty big. That looks a lot better, right? When we keep our whole board. it looks a little bit better, huh? There we go.
Of Demacia, stand with me.
Rip Jarvan. It's okay, though. Got him down to 2 cards in hand with the Annie on board. We're about to pop off with this Tiana next turn, ideally just ending the game, but seems okay. See if he plays some stuff that doesn't matter. Ooh, Broadmain's good. Not excited to have our Tybalak go down. And he's 1 away from flipping. So we can throw down Tiana this turn. He can attack with Annie and she'll flip and put the card into hand. And then are our attacks even any good after that? I mean, it seems better to me than just... Well, I mean... it is kind of nice to just come out and load up on these stances. Like, we are fairly safe at this point. And if we just drop, say, triple stance, we put Regenerate onto both, and then probably put Overwhelm onto Jarvan. Then we can open next turn and then follow up with Tiana. I think that's the way we need to go about it. So let's lead with Regenerate onto the bird. That lets us threaten to, say, kill Lord Broadmain, so he won't want to attack with it. And we can drop more stances onto the king. Is Overwhelm even a real necessity? Would we rather just save Overwhelm for Tiana? It's like he is pretty low in health. But it's like if he gets to... Well, he shouldn't have ways to really like stop the king here in terms of him coming in for damage. Right? He needs like a burn spell plus a disintegrate to do it. I'm not I'm not certain that he'll get to survive the combat, but he should get to deal his damage next turn. Now it's still a safe block on Annie with the king. She does her 3 damage skill, and then she'll stun him. Ooh, it's going to be a 4 damage skill now, right? Because of the Tybelak. Okay. Alright. What is this? And he's got a... Why is he playing Pirouette? Does that even do anything? Oh no, we had damage on our guy? Oh, I did not expect him to be able to play a spell here. Oh, we are fucked. I did not expect a one damage card to come through. Pirouette was too good. Completely boomed us. Alright. That's a tough match, but man, I feel like if we played around that. I just saw him at 1 mana and assumed that he didn't have any plays. Like well, it's like when you're in that spot, the normal amount of plays that you're gonna have are going to be something like a Blade's Edge, and I just assumed that our king was safe from Blade's Edge because he had tough, and I forgot about to consider in the Tybelak as well, being able to actually deal some damages. And so that's the space you run into against the Disintegrate deck, as to where it's dangerous to go tall on your units, but it still strikes me as being better on that turn than just going for Tiana. We just, like, our units weren't quite good enough, and I feel like if we played Tiana, then he's going to be able to just kind of ignore a lot of our stuff, and then like just block Tiana with the Serpent and then not care about anything, even without the knowledge of him having Pirouette. Like, Pirouette would have been just a pure disaster, but that was a little tough. But nonetheless, good set of games. We didn't pull off a big, gigantic win rate of a record, but you got to get in a lot of games when you look to really climb up the ladder. You got to play 50 and 100 games to really get those big samples in, and I still feel pretty confident with this deck, and I feel pretty good with it. And so, again, if it's a deck you enjoy, you want to play some Udyr, this is one that I'm quite happy with, quite fond of. I feel like it's a pretty strong deck. Again, if you're looking to make edits to it, I look to cut out 1 copy of the Unforgiven Cold. I don't think it's ultra necessary in the current meta, but it was still quite good against a lot of the matchups that we played today, and it's still a very valid card. And so again, if you're wanting to kind of like slow things down or edit it to be a little bit better against Samir, or a little bit better against things like Karmaset, you can. I just kind of ignore those matchups, as they're not really worth chasing after the win percentage, I think. And so been reasonably happy with the Unforgiven Cold. And so that is going to do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. Well, this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.